Okay, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes Chainsaw Man gets so freaking stupid that it's genius, to say the least. Fam, episode 10 of Chainsaw Man. I feel like I'm almost watching two different stories simultaneously running throughout the episode, because it's like, wow, if this was any reflection of, at the very least, Tatsuki Fujimoto's mood when writing this stuff, yeah, you could definitely tell he was at different places and how he was feeling while writing different parts of the story, or his influence was two totally different worlds, because on one half of the episode it is downright depressing. Everything to do with Aki in episode 10 of Chainsaw Man is flat out just like, oh my god, dog, like you're getting me a little bit too down here, fam, because it's absolutely tragic, following of course the untimely demise of Himeno. And yeah, Aki, you could tell, is broken by it, and throughout the entirety of the episode you could just see that he is going further down the pits of despair, while on the other half of the episode is just absolute stupidity to say the least when it comes to Denji and Power and their desperate attempts at, yo dog, that's kind of crazy. If Chainsaw Man is, a Shonen Jump series, right? Basically I would throw the argument that Denji and Power's little training stuff with Kishibe in this episode is kind of like Naruto and Sakura with Sasuke. Of course there's no Sasuke, so I guess this would be like Shippuden, trying to get the bells from Kakashi, except way more vulgar, way more bloody, and yeah, Kishibe or Kakashi. No. Now I think about it, it sways me into a little quick thought that I had regarding Kishibe, because this episode was full and force throwing you into the character and his interactions and dealings with people like Power and Denji, in terms of people that are, influenced in some form or another, whether being a fiend or whatever the heck that Denji is. Ultimately, Kishibe's character, it feels like this is more of a modernized version of, again, the classic story of a sensei type of guy. But I'm not even gonna lie, Kishibe, he just has a swag about him, dog. And I know you're probably like, I went to Chainsaw Man for a review and he's talking to me about Kishibe's swag. I'm sorry, fam, he was like drip god, okay? I don't know, it was just something about Kishibe. It reminds me that, and it also brings me into something I bet nobody's ever asked you. Which of the older badasses do you like more? Do you like the Kishibe, Kakashi that they're like in their mid 40s, early 40s? Oh my god, I said Kakashi's in his mid 40s. I forgot Kakashi is actually really young. So take Kakashi out of here from Naruto. Why are we even talking about that? This is Chainsaw Man. Fornev, get with the program. But do you like more of the Kishibe type of characters that are a little bit like in their 40s? Again, Kishibe looks like he's in his mid 40s at the very least. Or do you like the more older, or third Hokage, like out of nowhere they're just so freaking badass? Like, which one is more badass for you? And of course we have the Makima, that's a one of like, yeah, anyway, because episode starts off with Aki and this whole apples situation. Aki, Denji, and Power, they are visiting Aki in the infirmary because, yeah, Aki's been injured, of course, following the events of everything that happened in the previous episode. And it kind of felt like the beginning of this episode was splitting the emotion in half, because even in that room, Power and Denji are just, first of all, rude as hell. You know what I'm saying? Power saying, oh, give me those apples. I only came for the apples. Like, I didn't even come to visit you, even though I'm starting to wonder if there's some cap in that aspect. Maybe Power's starting to, warm up a little bit. I mean, she warmed up to the cat. Who knows? Maybe she's enjoying the company, because, yeah, this episode made it feel like, god damn, if it wasn't in this funny environment, if you was to take it in a very dark and sinister tone, Power and Denji sounded like super emotionless creatures to a certain degree. But, of course, the way Chainsaw Man presents it, it's like, no, there's just couple of Beavis and Buttheads. As a matter of fact, I would throw the argument that Beavis and Butthead need to move out the way and let Power and Denji take the spotlight, because fam, this episode, honestly, that portion alone, like the funnier half, could be its own anime. Like, just the stuff of Power and Denji training against Kishibe, whether it be a chibi anime or whatever, like, it's just so good by itself. It almost feels like it's Gintama-esque, maybe even a little more vulgar than that in nature. Because Denji and Power are taken by Makima to go train with somebody. Well, initially, you're wondering, like, well, where's Makima taking us? We're in a graveyard. What's going on here? But she greets them with Kishibe, that he's going to basically help them to improve. And yeah, Makima off in the wind, which I'm kind of wondering, because in this episode, Kishibe references that he is the top of the devil hunters. Like, so where does that put Makima at this point? And also, again, everything just feels real fishy. Like, hey, come over here and train with, like, what is Makima planning at this particular point, considering, yo, she just in the last episode or two hid evidence of her being murdered from the Devil Hunter Association. What does that mean? Like, where does she stand? And now she's there training these two up. Like, what is she trying to do? Manga readers are there right now like, yo, ForneverWorld, you know exactly what she's trying to do, dog. Stop. Alrighty. And what I was referencing earlier about Kishibe bringing out Power and Denji's, I guess you could say, morale into question at the very least, is because he asked them 3 questions. It was basically like a test to see what type of people they are, because this is his first time ever training any type of devils or fiends or anything like that, even though in his mind they're all devils. It's like there's no fiend, there's no Denji's a question mark, yeah, devils. And basically he asked them stuff along the lines of like, how do you feel about your people that passed away? Do you want revenge? And all of those things to question where they're at. And they basically was all like, you know, it's whatever. Even when we get to the more serious aspect, because maybe that's what makes Chainsaw Man so powerful, is like there's also a serious side of the coin of where Denji is wondering to himself following all of this of, well, damn, you know, I was sad a bit when Pochita passed for sure, but you know, if this one passed, I'd probably be sad for 3 days. I probably wouldn't care about this one passing regarding Himeno's passing. So, you know, you're getting multiple angles, and that's what keeps Chainsaw Man just on the edge of its seat, because you don't know, like, am I gonna come in for a laugh and Denji talking about boobs, or are we gonna be here bawling, tearing up because another person just passed? And also, when Kishibe was throwing hands with Power and Denji, yeah, it looked like he didn't really care at all in terms of he would break their necks, leave them there paralyzed on the ground. Like, he is absolutely vicious, which is why when I made the Bells comparison earlier, it also wasn't really quite on the mark. 2 totally different. Like this, yeah, I'd probably prefer you be 18 years old or seeing necks breaking and shit with blood everywhere on screen. But then we come back to Aki, and he has an encounter with some of the special divisions that Makima brought in, and basically they're trying to talk him into retirement. Apparently Aki finds out, based off of his whole Fox contract and whatnot, he has about 2 years left to live, which that is so sad and tragic, especially with Himeno passing away. And yeah, this episode again, just emotional roller coaster, because you can see that Aki is very torn. He even tries to summon the fox using his, what was it, Ko? I forgot what he says, or something like that. And even that doesn't do nothing, because yeah, the fox is pissed off at him for using so much of him. So Aki is down horrendous right now, and I feel so bad for the character. Honestly, I will say the anime is 1,000,000,000% doing Aki's character way more justice than the manga. Not that the manga did him bad. I wasn't invested in Aki as a character. In fact, I joked a couple of different times of like, he's a really cool character, but I care way more about Power and Denji. I actually really right now, I'm like heartbroken for this dude. I remember in the manga, which I don't know if they'll adapt it or whatnot, but there was this one really, really awesome page that was one of my favorite colored pages of all times with Aki regarding this whole situation. I won't spoil it because maybe the anime will be really awesome and showcase it at some given point. But yeah, this whole scene is powerful, but the anime itself just pushed it a lot more, where I was just like, yo, somebody, hey, Makima, come give him a tuggy real quick. Make him feel, you know what I'm saying? But then also Aki is greeted by a woman with a letter, which I love the suspense because I forgot it from the manga, and that had me completely clueless. So I'd imagine that anime-only fans were definitely like, hey, what? Who's this lady here? For a second there, I thought to myself, yo, imagine the anime pulled a crazy twist, and that's Himeno. She's alive still. Like, hey! That would have been horrible. Or at the very least, very off-brand for Chainsaw Man. But cutting back to Denji and Power, which again, the 2 dynamics of this episode, right? From Aki to the Denji and Power situation. And basically, they, after getting destroyed damn near into the night of fighting against Kishibe, have decided, yo, we gonna outsmart him, dog. Like, yo, I love that scene too, which I don't know if that was in the manga or not, that Denji was beat up so bad, his head had him there, like, just saying gibberish, and Power had to knock him dead a couple more times times, and I was just like, yo, Chainsaw Man. But this is the parts of the anime and the parts of this episode that are just so brilliant because it's so simple, but the way Tatsuki Fujimoto and the way MAPPA Studios brings it to life, this relationship between Power and Denji, where they're two complete numbskulls. You really think you're gonna outsmart Kishibe. They come up with the idea that we're gonna attack first, you know, we're gonna use our wits, and I'm thinking to myself, y'all have no wits. Y'all have no wits. Like, kudos to them for trying to progress, but it just feels so absurd, but not in a take you out of the moment type of way. It's just like Chainsaw Man, dog. Absolutely Chainsaw Man stuff. It's so stupid, but genius all within one. And apparently we find out that Aki gets a letter from Himeno's sister, and it was regarding Himeno, and Himeno basically saying things like at given points she wanted to retire. She was trying to talk Aki into retirement, but one of the few times she brought it up, he brushed it off, and she was trying to think of, yo, how can we get out of this? How can we just go into a private citizen? And it kind of adds the impact of that little scene of the guy that quit on Makima in the previous episodes, because like that right there showcases that is on a lot of people's mind, not just his. You know what I'm saying? Like, people really don't want, this is getting way out of hand at the point where we're at right now, where people are trying to walk away, and Himeno wanted to walk away. So I don't even know what's that gonna do to Aki's conscience to know that maybe she could have been alive, if you know what I'm saying, if I would have went a different direction, if I wouldn't have basically kept on with this revenge for my family, you know, his brother that was killed by the gun devil, whatnot. That probably will hit his conscience as well. And just in general, again, more tragedy. Like, I don't know, it just felt so heartbreaking for Aki. I gotta stress it. And the manga didn't hit me like it's hitting me now, of like, god damn, aside from that colored page, that if we pass it and it never gets mentioned, I will show it at some point. It was an awesome colored page. And then we cut to the finale where Kishibe arrives to Denji and Power, and he's greeted with an arrow through the door. Basically, they thought they were about to outsmart him and bring the fight to him, so to speak, without him realizing it. And yet, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of makes you wonder, like, yo, so with Kishibe, how was he able to immediately, like, what contract he got to, that they were about to attack him and shit like that? Okay, Kishibe, we see you, you Kakashi of the 2022s. I hate saying that, no, a lot of people are gonna give me shit for it, like, why you random Naruto? And ultimately, once again, Kishibe just shows them who's boss. He beats the living dog tar out of Denji, eventually even puts a freaking knife through his forehead, and is like, yo, you're a devil. Never trust a devil hunter, you know what I'm saying? Rule number one, fam, you know what I'm saying? With that swag, Kishibe! Oh yeah, and I guess I almost forgot there was one final scene after that, with Aki essentially trying to create a new devil contract with the future devil. Basically, he succumbed to the darkness of everything he feels right now, and rather than follow what Himeno wanted for him all along, was to retire, he's going to try and get a new contract busted and see what happens. But dog, what could at this particular point, you know what I'm saying? Like, fam, you got 2 years left to live. Maybe he just wants to go out in a blaze of glory. Maybe he already lost the person that he loved the most. So it's like, lost my bro, lost this woman that I wanted to be with. Fuck's the point. Very curious about what you thought of this episode. Do you feel like what I was saying throughout this entire review, of half the episode feeling really sad and serious, and half the episode feeling like these stupid idiots are so hilarious, I love them? Like, does it feel like that's a perfect balance, and that's what makes Chainsaw Man like that? Also, how do you feel about Aki and what he's going through right now, and the decision he came up with to try and go to the future devil to get a contract going? Do you think, like, what is it even going to cost him? Better yet, is the question to ask. And thoughts and expectations moving forward with Denji and Power, and did you get a good laugh? I ain't gonna lie, I was laughing hysterically. Like, they're freaking hilarious. I love them. I love them. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah.